videos of the WNBA, and they basically talking bad or shitting on what's her name, Caitlin Clark. And I'm not really a sports enthusiast, but I do believe in economy and things like that. So what I have seen and what I understand at all times is that money moves people. Money moves people. So at all times, a successful business is responsible for productivity. And we are reaching a point right now where productivity is not really valued. Productivity is not valued. People kind of just want to just get rewarded just for showing up, doing the bare minimum. And that's become such an issue that now we got companies and corporations that want equal economic outcomes without having the revenue. So that's why I'm using the WNBA. I'm using the WNBA as an example of why equality doesn't work. Well, in order to understand equality, especially when it comes to gender, the only way that you can understand equality in gender is to not just match up outcomes and say that if a man plays basketball and a woman plays basketball, they should automatically take home the same amount. You have to break it down from a business perspective. And that's the issue with the problem with the WNBA. They only look at, well, men bring in this amount of money. Yes, but it's a business, which means that the NBA is profitable because advertisers pay millions of dollars to run ads on the game. So advertisers want to advertise their business because people are watching the game. So that's a form of income. So if advertisers don't want to market to the WNBA, that has nothing to do with gender inequality. That means that they don't have a business good enough for advertisers to invest in money. Now, because advertisers invest in NBA and not WNBA, does it have anything to do with race? No way, because American corporations are capitalists and they only care about money. They don't care about feelings, ethnicity. They only care about money. So it's impossible for a business that earns no money. Since the WNBA has existed since the 90s, it hasn't made any money. In fact, it's subsidized. It's subsidized by the NBA. The same group of people that are saying that they need to be equal to men. The only way that the WNBA can be equal to the NBA is if the WNBA made a profit for 20 or 30 years and funded a men's sports league that was failing for 20 years. That would be the only way to be equal, because the WNBA doesn't make money. It loses money. It loses over $100 million a year. Why? So that means that in the American mind, two businesses, a business ran by a man, a business ran by a woman. If both businesses have the same opportunity to succeed, if one business is failing and the other one is succeeding, is it the responsibility of the successful business to bail out or fund the unsuccessful business? Let's take gender out of this. Matter of fact, let's take. What if it was two female leagues? What if there was a WNBA, and then what if there was two versions of the WNBA, and one version of the WNBA was failing, and the other version of the WNBA was successful? If there were two versions of the WNBA, would it be the responsibility of the league that's succeeding to take money away from those players in order to make it equal? You can't socially engineer equality when it comes to economics. You just can't do it. So the WNBA has to eventually be able to stand on its own. So how do we compare this to men and women? It's a perfect example. Men and women are different. And I did a video before where it talked about the difference between equality versus equivalency. So let's say the WNBA wants equal outcomes of the NBA. The WNBA players want equal payment, but they don't understand you can't have an equal payout because you don't have an equivalent fan base. You don't have an equivalent. You don't have an equivalent advertising platform. Advertisers don't pay into you. People don't want to watch the games. So how could how could those businesses be equal when they haven't equally put in the amount of work? They don't equally have the same revenue. They don't equally have the same demand. So that's the version of equality that we want in America, where you don't, where everybody doesn't have to earn and work, the same way. Everybody doesn't have to sacrifice. Everybody just deserves the same outcomes, regardless of what input. That's not equality. Equality isn't everybody having the exact same outcome without the same input. That's not equality. And matter of fact, that's bad for society. Having mediocre people feel entitled to the same outcomes as people who have put in superior work. Let's just keep it to work ethic. You can't tell me that a person that is mediocre, that does the complete bare minimum, should have an equal outcome to a person that goes above and beyond. And this is why, if you juxtapose men and women, you can't. As far as the economy and working outside of physical jobs, yeah, we could do 99.9% equally. But like I said in previous videos, when a man is a little bit older, maybe out of shape, he got his money right, women are still attracted to that man in the long term. If a man is a little bit older, got a pot belly, but his finances is right, he got style, that's what women want. So because women accept that in a man, they think that them being they think that if they're the equal, they think if they're equally financially successful, if they equally are a little bit overweight, that they are equivalent, that their desirability is equivalent to how they desire older men that, might be a little bit out of shape, but got style, got like women like silver foxes. They just do. Do some men like cougars? Yes, of course. But nowhere in planet Earth are cougars as desirable as silver foxes. It's just not. It's biology. It's not a shot at women. It's not saying that women are less than. It's just we're different. We're valuable at different times. Like, yes, we might be equally valuable or desirable in the dating market, but not. It's never equivalent. It's never at the same time. Men are more. Men might be more desired physically when we're younger. I mean, but we don't. Half of us don't really know what we're doing, and between 18 and 25. I mean, some do, but most don't. And women are more desirable to men when they're, between 19 and 29. That's kind of the age that's kind of the popular age for a man that want to start a family. It don't really make sense as a man to start a family with somebody experiencing geriatric pregnancy. See, we're not equal. See, we have a bigger window. Men can have healthy babies for a longer duration, up until maybe 40, 50, and some even 60. Robert De Niro. Women's fertility window is smaller. That's another reason why we're not necessarily equal in our desirability. Men don't have a biological clock. We don't have a biological clock. I mean, I'm 41 years old, and I'm at the age where 18, 19-year-old girls be looking at me, but 28-year-old, for some reason, women in between 20 and 30 approach me. So to me, that's kind of weird. That's weird now. Women that I had to approach 20, 30 years ago, or, 20, 15 years ago are now approaching me. So unfortunately, when I say equivalency, I think, yes, women are always going to get approached because women are beautiful. So women are always going to get approached. But I think that women start to pay attention to, as they get older, the quality of guys that are constantly trying to be in their face as they get older goes down. Like women are always going to have men in their face because women are beautiful and we all like to be around a pretty lady, but that attention that women get when they were younger, it slows up when they get older, and then the quality and quantity vary when it's flipped. So now at 40, I have a better selection. I just have a better selection, and it's just like the NBA versus the WNBA. Like the biggest issue why the WNBA isn't succeeding to me is the same reason why the dating market isn't succeeding. We have people that are have an overinflated ego. The women in the WNBA are way arrogant in a sense to where America doesn't know. I knew more WNBA stars in the 90s. I don't virtually know any except as of recently in this last year. So imagine a person that has a failing business that's being arrogant, that's chastising. Imagine if I have a business and you're my investor. Imagine I have a business and you're my investor. Imagine that you've been investing in my business for 20 years and I've made no money. Imagine you were a woman investing in my business for 20 years and me as a man, I made no money in 20 years. Imagine me as a man having a business for 20 years and making no money. Imagine me getting all of the dollars that I've got for that business for 20 years from women. Then imagine me getting money for 20 years from women, not making any profit, and then turning around and saying that women need to do more for my business to succeed. That's the WNBA. The WNBA is a group of women who have been getting funded by men for 20 years that haven't made 1 cent. They have lost hundreds of millions of dollars every single year, but still say men should do more. How much more? We're funding your whole existence, and that's America. That is America in a nutshell. People that haven't earned anything, their whole life is funded, and they're arrogant and they're still wondering what more could be done for them. The same thing wrong with the WNBA is what's wrong with dating in America. People have overinflated ego and don't really bring as much value as they think that they're bringing.